The desperate exodus expanded to approximately 1,200 words. The vast emptiness of space was pierced by a lone vessel, its hull scared and blackened. The Zephyrian ship, Starlight Whisper, limped through the cosmic void, its once graceful form now a testament to the brutality it had endured. Inside, the last remnants of a dying race clung to life and hope with equal desperation. Captain Zira stood at the command center, her translucent form shimmering with stress. The Zephyrians were beings of pure energy contained within a delicate, crystal-like exoskeleton. Now that exoskeleton showed cracks, both literal and metaphorical. "Status report," Zyra demanded, her voice a melodic whisper that belied the gravity of their situation. Her second in command, Vex, materialized beside her. "Life support is failing, Captain. We have perhaps 3 solar cycles before it gives out entirely. Engine efficiency is down to 12%. And our shields." He paused, his form flickering with emotion. "Our shields are non-existent." Zyra absorbed the information, her mind racing. They had been fleeing for so long, jumping from system to system, always one step ahead of their pursuers. But now, it seemed, their luck had run out. "And the others?" she asked, dreading the answer. "We've lost another dozen in cryostasis," Vex reported solemnly. "Our population is down to just over 1,000. 1,000. Out of a species that once numbered in the billions." The weight of responsibility pressed down on Zyra, threatening to shatter her very being. As if sensing her distress, the ship's AI interface area materialized as a swirling pattern of light. "Captain, I've detected an anomaly in our long-range scans. There's a system ahead that doesn't match any in our database." Hope, that dangerous and intoxicating emotion, flared within Zyra. "Show me," she commanded. A holographic display sprang to life, revealing a solar system with 8 planets orbiting a yellow star. The third planet from the sun glowed a vibrant blue and green. "It's beautiful," Vex whispered, voicing the thought on everyone's mind. Zyra studied the image intently. "Area, what can you tell us about this world?" The eye's lights pulsed as it processed the data. "The planet appears to be in the habitable zone of its star. Atmosphere is primarily nitrogen and oxygen. Large bodies of water cover approximately 71% of the surface. And," Area paused, its lights flickering rapidly, "I'm detecting signs of civilization." A collective gasp rippled through the command center. Civilization meant risk, but it also meant hope. Hope for aid, for sanctuary, for survival. "What kind of civilization?" Zyra pressed. "Uncertain," Area replied. "The technology level appears to be pre-FTL, but advancing rapidly. There are artificial satellites in orbit and evidence of rudimentary space exploration within their system." Zyra exchanged a look with Vex. Pre-FTL civilizations were notoriously unpredictable. Some welcomed cosmic neighbors with open arms. Others reacted with fear and violence. It was a gamble, but one they had no choice but to take. "Plot a course," Zyra ordered. "Best speed." As the ship altered its trajectory, Zyra's mind drifted to the events that had led them to this desperate gambit. The memories washed over her, as vivid and painful as the day they occurred. The Zephyrian homeworld, Lumina, had been a paradise, a planet of crystalline spires and energy fields, where art and science intertwined in breathtaking harmony. The Zephyrians had long ago shed their need for physical bodies, becoming beings of pure energy and thought. They had no weapons, no armies. Their pursuit of knowledge and beauty had left them woefully unprepared. Zyra had been a scholar, an expert in theoretical physics. In the chaos of the attack, she found herself thrust into the role of leader. She organized the evacuation, gathering as many survivors as possible onto the few ships they had. The Starlight Whisper, a research vessel, became their ark. For cycles upon cycles, they had fled. The Krell, not content with the destruction of Lumina, hunted the survivors relentlessly. Other races, seeing the Zephyrians as easy prey, joined the pursuit. The galaxy, it seemed, had no place for a species that valued peace and knowledge above all else. A jolt shook Zyra from her reverie. Alarms blared throughout the ship. "Report," she called out, her form flickering with anxiety. Vex's voice was tight with fear. "Krell warships, Captain. They found us." On the view screen, 3 predatory vessels emerged from FTL, their hulls bristling with weapons. The sight sent a wave of terror through the command center. "How did they find us?" Zyra demanded, even as she knew the answer. They had been pushing the engines too hard, leaving an ion trail that even a child could follow. "Options?" she asked, looking around at her crew. Aria's voice cut through the panic. "Captain, I've analyzed our position relative to the uncharted system. If we divert all power to the engines, including life support, we might be able to make a blind jump into the system's gravity well. The planetary body could mask our signature." "And if we miscalculate?" Vex asked. "Then we burn up in the atmosphere or crash into the ocean," Aria replied matter-of-factly. Zyra looked at the faces of her crew, saw the fear and hope warring in their ethereal forms. Then she gazed at the image of the blue-green world on the screen. It was a desperate plan, but desperation was all they had left. "Do it," she ordered. The Starlight Whisper lurched as all power was diverted to its engines. The Krell ships opened fire, energy beams lancing out across the void. But the Zephyrian vessel was already accelerating, pushing itself to the very limits of its design. Zyra felt the ship groan around them, felt the very fabric of space-time stretch as they prepared for the jump. "Hold on," she cried out, her voice lost in the roar of the engines. In a flash of light and a twist of reality, the Starlight Whisper vanished, leaving the frustrated Krell behind. Moments later, the ship re-emerged, tumbling end over end as it plummeted towards the blue-green planet. Warnings screamed from every console as the outer hull began to heat up from atmospheric entry. "Aria," Zyra called out. "Can you stabilize us?" The A's voice was strained, its usual calm replaced by urgency. "Negative, Captain. Our trajectory is too steep. Impact is imminent. Initiating emergency protocols." As the ship plunged towards the surface, Zyra saw the glittering lights of a sprawling city below. In her final moments before impact, a single thought filled her mind. "Please," she whispered to the unknown inhabitants of this world, "help us." The Starlight Whisper streaked across the sky like a falling star, carrying with it the last hope of a dying race. As it disappeared behind the skyline of New York City, the fate of the Zephyrians, and potentially that of humanity, hung in the balance. An explosive first impression, 1,200 words. The morning rush hour in New York City was in full swing. Thousands of people hurried through the streets, their minds occupied with meetings, deadlines, and the countless demands of urban life. None of them were prepared for the moment that would change their world forever. Officer Sarah Chen of the NYPD was on her usual beat, sipping coffee and watching the organized chaos of Manhattan unfold around her. Her partner, Mike Callahan, was regaling her with yet another story about his kid's latest antics when a blinding light split the sky. "What the hell?" Mike exclaimed, shielding his eyes. Sarah's coffee cup hit the pavement as she stared upward, mouth agape. A massive object, wreathed in flame, was hurtling towards the city at incredible speed. For a moment, time seemed to stand still as New Yorkers collectively held their breath. Then, chaos erupted. The object, now clearly some kind of ship, screamed over the skyscrapers, leaving a trail of smoke and debris in its wake. It clipped the edge of the Chrysler Building, sending a shower of glass and metal raining down on the panicked crowds below. "Central, this is Officer Chen," Sarah yelled into her radio, already sprinting towards the projected impact site. "We've got some kind of aircraft going down in Midtown. Send everything you've got." The ship plowed into Bryant Park, carving a deep furrow through the once pristine grass and uprooting trees like they were matchsticks, It finally came to rest against the New York Public Library, its hull steaming and creaking ominously in the sudden silence. Sarah arrived on the scene moments later, her heart pounding. The acrid smell of burnt metal and ozone filled the air. Sirens wailed in the distance as emergency services scrambled to respond. "Mike, start evacuating the area," she ordered, drawing her weapon. "We don't know what we're dealing with here." As Mike began herding shocked bystanders away from the crash site, Sarah cautiously approached the ship. Its design was like nothing she'd ever seen. Sleek and almost organic, with no visible seams or joints. The hull shimmered with an otherworldly iridescence, despite the damage it had sustained. Suddenly, a section of the hull began to ripple and distort. Sarah raised her gun, every muscle in her body tense. "NYPD, come out slowly with your hands up," she shouted, hoping against hope that whatever was inside could understand English. The hull parted like a curtain, and a figure emerged. Sarah's eyes widened in disbelief. The being before her was unlike anything she could have imagined. It stood roughly human-sized, but its body seemed to be made of translucent crystal, pulsing with inner light. Delicate, wing-like appendages sprouted from its back, and where a face should have been, there was only a swirling vortex of energy. The alien, for it could be nothing else, took a shaky step forward and promptly collapsed onto the scorched grass. Sarah's training warred with her instincts. Every protocol said to maintain distance, to wait for backup. But as she looked at the fallen creature, she saw something unmistakable in its posture. Pain, fear, and desperate need. Making a split-second decision, Sarah holstered her weapon and rushed to the alien's side. As she knelt beside it, she noticed hairline fractures running through its crystalline body. "Hey," she said softly, "can you understand me? Are you hurt?" The alien's form flickered, and suddenly, a melodic voice filled Sarah's mind. "Help, us," it whispered, the words carrying an overwhelming sense of anguish and exhaustion. "Us," Sarah repeated, glancing back at the ship. "There are more of you." Before the alien could respond, a shout rang out. "Chen, get away from that thing." Sarah turned to see Mike running towards her, gun drawn. His face was a mask of fear and determination. "We don't know what it's capable of," he yelled. "Mike, wait," Sarah called back, positioning herself between her partner and the prone alien. "It's injured. I don't think it means us any harm." Mike's eyes darted between Sarah and the alien, his gun wavering. "Sarah, this is first contact with an alien species. We can't just..." His words were cut off by a groaning sound from the ship. More sections of the hull were opening, and dozens of crystalline beings were emerging, each one looking as battered and fragile as the first. "Oh my God," Mike breathed, his gun dropping to his side. Sarah made a decision that would be debated for years to come. She keyed her radio and spoke with all the authority she could muster. "Central, this is Officer Chen. We need medical assistance at Bryant Park immediately. Multiple injured. Civilians. I repeat, these are civilians in need of urgent care. Any units responding, weapons are to remain holstered. That's an order." As she spoke, camera phones were already recording the scene from every angle. Social media exploded with blurry images and shaky videos of the crystal aliens. Within minutes, the crash landing was the top story on every news network worldwide. The next few hours passed in a blur of activity. Emergency services arrived en masse, setting up a perimeter in trade stations. Paramedics, after some initial hesitation, began tending to the injured aliens as best they could, marveling at their otherworldly physiology. News helicopters circled overhead as government officials and military personnel poured into the area. The National Guard was mobilized, though more to control the growing crowds of onlookers than out of any perceived threat from the aliens. As the sun began to set, casting an ethereal glow over the crashed ship, Sarah found herself face to face with the first alien she'd encountered. It had been stabilized by the medical team and was now hovering slightly above the ground. its crystalline form pulsing with a steady light. "Thank you." The alien's voice resonated in her mind. "I am Zyra, captain of the Starlight Whisper. You have saved us when we had lost all hope." Sarah smiled, still scarcely believing the situation she found herself in. "I'm Officer Sarah Chen. Can you tell me what happened? Why you came here?" Zyra's form shimmered, projecting a series of images into Sarah's mind. She saw a beautiful world of crystal spires, then scenes of destruction and terror as it was attacked by monstrous ships. She felt the fear and desperation of Zyra's people as they fled across the stars. "We are the last of the Zephyrians," Zyra explained. "Our world was destroyed by those who feared our differences. We have searched for so long for a place of safety." Sarah's heart ached at the tragedy of it all. "Well," she said, gesturing to the organized chaos around them, "I can't promise it'll be easy, but I think you've found that place." As if to underscore her words, a cheer went up from the crowd gathered beyond the police barricades. Sarah turned to see people holding up hastily made signs. "We'll see you and me to Earth. We come in peace, and even a few humanity. Few hukia." The noise drew the attention of other Zephyrians, who drifted over curiously. As they neared the crowd, something remarkable happened. The humans, rather than recoiling in fear, pressed forward, hands outstretched in greeting. A small Zephyrian child, its form barely larger than a human toddler, floated up to the barricade. A young girl on the other side smiled and waved. After a moment's hesitation, the Zephyrian extended a crystalline tendril, which the girl gently touched. A soft glow passed between them, and both beings vibrated with what could only be described as joy. Watching this exchange, Sarah felt a swell of pride in her species. Yes, there would be challenges ahead. Yes, there would be those who reacted with fear or hatred. But in this moment, humanity was showing its best face to the cosmos. As night fell over New York City, the crashed ship glowed softly, a beacon of hope for two species whose destinies were now inextricably intertwined. The stars above seemed to shine a little brighter, as if welcoming Earth to a much larger community. The Zephyrians had found their sanctuary, and humanity had taken its first, stumbling steps onto the galactic stage. The Galactic Spotlight, 1,200 words. In the days following the Zephyrians' dramatic arrival, Earth found itself thrust into a spotlight it never knew existed. Unbeknownst to humanity, their handling of this first contact was being scrutinized by countless alien civilizations across the galaxy. At the United Nations headquarters in New York, just blocks away from the crash site, an emergency session had been called. Representatives from every nation on Earth gathered to debate the unprecedented situation. The General Assembly Hall buzzed with a mixture of excitement, fear, and heated discussion. UN Secretary General Amara Okoro stood at the podium, her usually calm demeanor strained by the weight of the moment. "Distinguished delegates," she began, her voice echoing through the chamber, "we face a decision that will define our species for generations to come. The Zephyrians have asked for our help. How we respond will show not just them, but ourselves, what kind of people we truly are." As Okoro spoke, hidden observers watched with keen interest. In high orbit, cloaked ships belonging to various galactic powers hovered silently, their advanced sensors trained on the proceedings below. Aboard the Krell flagship Iron Fist, Admiral Vrock sneered at the human gathering displayed on his view screen. "Look at them," he growled to his subordinates. "Squabbling like insects. They'll turn on the Zephyrians soon enough. No species would willingly harbor such weakness." Meanwhile, in a pocket dimension just outside Earth's reality, the ancient Watchers convened. These beings, old when the first stars were born, had long observed the younger races. One Watcher, appearing as a shimmer of light, spoke to its brethren. "The humans are an anomaly. Their capacity for both great violence and great compassion makes them unpredictable. We must watch closely." Back in the UN, the debate raged on. Some nations argued for caution, even isolation of the Zephyrians. Others pushed for full integration and sharing of technologies. Through it all, a live feed broadcast the proceedings to billions around the world. In a small apartment in Tokyo, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a xenobiologist who had only dreamed of studying alien life, sat glued to her screen. In a village in Kenya, children crowded around a community television, their eyes wide with wonder at the images of the crystalline beings. In Rio de Janeiro, street artists were already creating murals depicting humans and Zephyrians hand in hand. As the UN session stretched into its second day, a surprising voice cut through the debate. Zira, the Zephyrian captain, had asked to address the assembly. Her request, unprecedented in UN history, was quickly granted. Zira's crystalline form glided to the center of the chamber, her inner light pulsing gently. When she spoke, her melodic telepathic voice reached not just the delegates, but everyone watching the broadcast. People of Earth, she began, her words carrying an undercurrent of emotion that brought tears to many eyes. We came to you broken and afraid. We expected, at best, indifference. At worst, hostility. What we found instead was kindness, compassion, hope. Images flashed in the minds of all who listened. Zephyrian children playing with human children in the park near the crash site. Human doctors working tirelessly to heal injured Zephyrians. Ordinary citizens bringing food and blankets to the crash site. We have traveled the stars, Zira continued, and nowhere have we seen the unique blend of strength and empathy that you possess. You are young as a species, yes, but your potential is limitless. In orbit, the watching aliens stirred uneasily. This was not how first contact scenarios usually played out. The Krell Admiral Vrock barked orders to his communications officer. Send word to the homeworld. The humans are not responding as expected. The watchers, too, were intrigued. Perhaps, one mused, we have been too hasty in our judgments of younger races. These humans, they bear watching. As Zira's speech concluded, a standing ovation shook the UN chamber, but the real impact was felt around the world. Social media exploded with messages of support for the Zephyrians. Hashtags like #WeAreEarthlings and #ZephyriansBelong trended globally. In Washington, D.C., President Ileana Ruiz sat in the Oval Office, her advisors arrayed around her. The people have spoken, she said, looking at the polling data before her. We need to take a stand, not just for the Zephyrians, but for who we are as a species. Across the globe, other leaders were coming to similar conclusions. In a historic move, a joint statement was drafted and brought before the UN General Assembly. Secretary General Okoro, her voice steady but eyes shining with emotion, read the declaration. We, the nations of Earth, hereby grant full sanctuary and protected status to the Zephyrian people. They will be welcomed into our communities, their knowledge and culture celebrated alongside our own. From this day forward, Earth declares itself a haven for those who seek peace among the stars. The vote was nearly unanimous. As the final tally was announced, cheers erupted not just in the UN, but in cities and towns across the planet. In orbit, the hidden watchers reeled from the implications. The Krell ships quickly retreated, jumping to FTL to report this unexpected turn of events. Other observers lingered, reassessing their view of humanity. On Earth, the party was just beginning. In New York, impromptu celebrations broke out in the streets. The crashed Zephyrian ship, still resting against the library, became a symbol of unity. People left flowers and welcome messages at its base, but not everyone was celebrating. In shadowy corners of the internet and in hushed meetings, those who feared change began to organize. They saw the Zephyrians as a threat to human purity, to Earth's independence. Their numbers were small, but their determination was fierce. As the sun set on this historic day, humanity stood on the precipice of a new era. The decision to welcome the Zephyrians had catapulted Earth onto the galactic stage, for better or worse. In the weeks that followed, the implications of this decision began to unfold. Zephyrian technology, shared freely as a gesture of gratitude, accelerated human scientific progress by decades. Clean energy solutions, advanced medical techniques, and breakthroughs in space travel were just the beginning. But with progress came challenges. The global economy struggled to adapt to the influx of alien knowledge. Traditional power structures were upended as nations competed for Zephyrian expertise. And always, there was the looming question. If the Zephyrians had enemies in the stars, had Earth just painted a target on itself? Despite these concerns, the overwhelming mood was one of hope and excitement. Universities scrambled to establish xenobiology and xenosociology departments. Linguists worked tirelessly to decipher the intricacies of Zephyrian communication. And in schools across the world, curriculums were hastily rewritten to include humanity's new place in a much larger cosmos. As Earth took its first tentative steps into the galactic community, the watching universe held its breath. The humans had defied expectations, chosen compassion over fear. Now, all eyes turned to this small blue planet, wondering what these unpredictable beings would do next. In the vast tapestry of the cosmos, a new thread had been woven. Bright, bold, and utterly human. Defying galactic expectations. 1,200 words. 6 months after the Zephyrians' arrival, Earth was a planet transformed. The initial euphoria had given way to a determined focus as humanity raced to catch up with the galactic community they now knew existed. In a secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a holographic display, her eyes darting between streams of alien data. As the lead scientist of Project Harmony, she was responsible for integrating Zephyrian knowledge with human technology. "Run the simulation again," she ordered, her voice tense with excitement. The air shimmered as a complex energy matrix took shape. Beside her, the Zephyrian scientist, Lyra, pulsed with approval. "You've done it, Elena." The alien's thoughts resonated. "The shield harmonics are stable." Elena allowed herself a moment of elation before the reality of their achievements sank in. They had just created Earth's first planetary defense shield, a technology that would have taken humans centuries to develop on their own. As news of the breakthrough spread, reactions around the world were mixed. Many celebrated this leap forward in Earth's ability to protect itself. Others worried it would be seen as an act of aggression by other galactic powers. In Washington, D.C., President Ruse received the report with grim satisfaction. "We're no longer helpless," she murmured to her chief of staff. "But now we have to be very careful about our next steps." Unbeknownst to the humans, their actions were causing ripples across the galaxy. On distant worlds, leaders and military strategists pored over reports of Earth's progress. In the crystalline halls of the Galactic Concordat, an alliance of enlightened species, heated debates rage. Ambassador Kivax of the silicon-based Thraxi slammed a tendril against the conference table. "The humans are advancing too quickly. They're upsetting the balance we've maintained for millennia." His counterpart, the gaseous entity known as Jolak, rippled in disagreement. "But consider their motivations. They've shown no signs of aggression, only a desire to protect themselves and the Zephyrians." As the Concordat argued, other, less scrupulous powers saw opportunity in Earth's rapid rise. In the shadows between stars, information brokers and arms dealers began to take notice of this upstart world. Back on Earth, the integration of Zephyrian and human cultures continued apace, though not without challenges. In a bustling market in Marrakesh, a young Zephyrian named Vex hovered nervously before a spice stall. The vendor, an elderly woman named Fatima, smiled warmly. "Do not be shy, little one," she said, gesturing to her wares. "Perhaps some saffron for your energy patterns." Vex pulsed with amusement and gratitude. These small moments of cultural exchange were happening all over the world, bridging the gap between two very different species. But not all interactions were so positive. In a dimly lit bar in Moscow, a group of humans huddled around a table, their voices low and angry. "They're changing everything," one man growled. "Our jobs, Our culture, Earth for humans. The sentiment, though a minority view, was growing in pockets around the world. Anti-Zephyrian groups, fueled by fear and misinformation, were becoming increasingly vocal. As these tensions simmered, Earth's scientific community raced forward. In a joint human-Zephyrian lab in Nairobi, a breakthrough in faster-than-light communication was announced. For the first time, humanity could reach out beyond its solar system. The first message was simple: "Greetings from Earth. We come in peace and friendship." The response came faster than anyone had anticipated. A cascade of signals from dozens of alien civilizations flooded in, overwhelming Earth's newly established deep space networks. The contents ranged from welcoming to wary, from curious to openly hostile. One message, however, stood out. It was from the Krell Empire, the very force that had driven the Zephyrians from their home. The translation made global headlines. "Humans of Earth, you harbor fugitives and criminals against the natural order. Surrender the Zephyrian abominations or face the consequences. You have one solar cycle to comply." The ultimatum sent shockwaves through human and Zephyrian communities alike. Emergency sessions were called in governments around the world. Military forces went on high alert, and in homes everywhere, families huddled together, watching the news with bated breath. In New York, now home to the largest Zephyrian population on Earth, tensions ran high. Officer Sarah Chen, hailed as a hero for her actions during first contact, found herself working overtime to keep the peace. "We're not going anywhere," she assured a group of nervous Zephyrians gathered in Bryant Park. "Earth made a promise, and we intend to keep it." Her words were met with pulses of gratitude from the aliens, but Sarah couldn't shake the fear gnawing at her gut. How could Earth hope to stand against a galactic empire? The answer came from an unexpected source. In a secure bunker beneath Geneva, a team of human hackers and Zephyrian data weavers had been working around the clock, sifting through the vast repository of galactic knowledge the Zephyrians had brought with them. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the xenobiologist who had watched first contact from her tiny Tokyo apartment, now stood at the heart of this effort. Her eyes widened as patterns began to emerge from the data. "It's a bluff," she breathed, scarcely believing what she was seeing. "The Krell, they're not as powerful as they want us to believe." The team's findings were quickly relayed to world leaders. The Krell Empire, while technologically advanced, was stretched thin across too many star systems. They ruled through fear and intimidation rather than true strength, and they had never encountered a species quite like humanity before. As the deadline approached, Earth made its decision. In a globally broadcast address, President Ruse stood firm. "To the Krell Empire and all who are watching, Earth rejects your ultimatum. The Zephyrians are under our protection, and we will not abandon them. We extend an open hand of friendship to all peaceful species in the galaxy, but make no mistake, we will defend our home and our friends with everything we have." Across the planet, humans and Zephyrians alike held their breath, waiting for the Krell response. Hours ticked by intense silence. Then, on the edge of the solar system, sensors detected multiple FTL signatures. The Krell fleet had arrived. But Earth was ready. As the alien ships approached, the planetary shield shimmered to life, a feat that astonished the Krell commanders. This was not the primitive world they had expected to cow into submission. Admiral Vrock, leading the Krell fleet, found himself facing a decision he had never anticipated. The humans, backed by Zephyrian technology and their own irrepressible spirit, presented a far more formidable obstacle than expected. In a move that would be analyzed for years to come, Vrock ordered his fleet to halt just outside the range of Earth's defenses. A tense standoff ensued, broadcast live to every screen on the planet. For 3 days, humanity held its collective breath. Krell ships prowled the edges of the solar system, while Earth's fledgling space fleet, a mix of retrofitted human vessels and Zephyrian designs, stood vigilant. Finally, a message came through. "Admiral Vrock, his pride warring with pragmatism, requested a parley. The Krell Empire, it seemed, was not prepared for a protracted conflict with such an unpredictable adversary. As preparations for the first diplomatic meeting between humans, Zephyrians, and Krell got underway, a palpable sense of hope spread across Earth. Against all odds, humanity had stood its ground on the galactic stage. The watching universe, from the galactic Concordat to the independent worlds, marveled at the audacity of this young species. Earth, it seemed, would not be content to merely join the galactic community. It was poised to reshape it. As news of Earth's defiance spread across the stars, a new era dawned. Humanity, with its unique blend of compassion and determination, had announced its presence to the cosmos in no uncertain terms. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity's cosmic debut, 1,200 words. The diplomatic summit between Earth, the Zephyrians, and the Krell Empire was set to take place on neutral ground, a space station hastily constructed in Earth's orbit. As the day approached, the entire planet buzzed with anticipation and anxiety. President Ruse stood before a mirror in her quarters aboard the station, straightening her jacket. The weight of humanity's future rested on her shoulders. Beside her, Zira shimmered with nervous energy. "Remember," Zira's thoughts whispered, "the Krell respect strength above all else. We must show them that Earth's compassion is not weakness." Ruse nodded, her jaw set with determination. "We'll show them who we are, all of us together." As they made their way to the conference room, screens across Earth and in hidden pockets throughout the galaxy tuned in. This meeting would shape interstellar politics for centuries to come. The Krell delegation arrived in a show of military precision, their exoskeletons gleaming under the station's lights. Admiral Vrock, a towering figure of chitinous armor and cold, compound eyes, led the group. His mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement or disdain as he regarded the human and Zephyrian representatives. "So," Vrock's translator buzzed, "the upstart humans and their pet abominations face us at last." President Ruse stepped forward, her voice steady. "Admiral Vrock, we meet as equals here. Earth has made its stance clear. We stand with the Zephyrians, and we stand for peace. But make no mistake, we will defend ourselves if necessary." As the negotiations began, it became clear that this was unlike any diplomatic meeting in galactic history. The humans, guided by the Zephyrians but driven by their own unique perspective, challenged the Krell's assumptions at every turn. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, present as a scientific advisor, found herself in a heated debate with the Krell's chief biotechnician. "Your obsession with physical form blinds you to whole realms of possibility," she argued, holographic models of Zephyrian energy matrices floating between them. "There's so much we could learn from each other if you just open your minds." Her passion and insight caught the Krell off guard. For the first time, seeds of doubt began to creep into their rigid worldview. Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity showcased its adaptability. In a gesture of goodwill, hospitals worldwide opened their doors to injured Krell soldiers, demonstrating medical techniques that blended human intuition, Zephyrian energy manipulation, and Krell biology. News of these treatments spread through the Krell fleet. Soldiers who had expected to be met with hostility found themselves experiencing human kindness firsthand. It was a small thing, but it marked the beginning of a shift in perspective. As the summit entered its third day, a breakthrough seemed close at hand. But then, alarms blared throughout the station. A radical human anti-alien group, somehow having gained access to advanced weaponry, was attacking the Krell ships in orbit. Chaos erupted in the conference room. Vrock roared accusations of treachery, his guards raising weapons. For a moment, it seemed all hope of peace would be lost in a single violent instant. What happened next would be remembered for generations. President Ruiz, without hesitation, placed herself between the Krell and the human security team. At the same moment, Zira's crystalline form expanded, creating an energy barrier around the entire Krell delegation. "Stop," Ruse commanded, her voice cutting through the tension. "This is not who we are, not who we choose to be." In that frozen moment, Admiral Vrock saw something that challenged everything he believed about strength and weakness. Here were beings he had considered soft, yet they stood unflinching in the face of death to protect even those who had been their enemies. "Stand down," Vrock ordered his troops, his voice flaunting with an emotion no translator could capture. As human security forces rushed to neutralize the attackers, a new dialogue opened between the three species. The shared danger had broken down barriers that formal negotiations could not. In the aftermath, as the summit reconvened, the tone had shifted dramatically. The Krell, shaken by the humans' actions and intrigued by their potential, began to consider options beyond conquest. Vrock, in a move that stunned his own delegation, removed his ceremonial armor, a gesture of trust unprecedented in Krell history. "Perhaps," he clicked, "we have been too hasty in our judgments. Humans, you have shown us a kind of strength we did not know existed." The discussions that followed were transformative. Earth, rather than simply defending itself, now took an active role in reshaping galactic politics. The humans proposed a radical new interstellar accord, one based on mutual respect, cultural exchange, and collective defense. To the shock of many, the Krell were the first to sign. As news of the accord spread, the galaxy reacted with a mixture of hope and trepidation. The Galactic Concordat, seeing the shifting balance of power, quickly moved to open formal relations with Earth. Other, more isolated species began to reach out, curious about this young race that had so quickly reshaped the cosmic order. On Earth, celebrations erupted as the summit's successful conclusion was announced. In Times Square, humans and Zephyrians danced together beneath holographic displays of the signed accord. In Beijing, ancient temples lit up with displays of Krell bioluminescence, a gift from the departing delegation. But amidst the joy, Earth's leaders knew that great challenges lay ahead. They had claimed a place on the galactic stage, but now they had to live up to the promise they had shown. In the months that followed, Earth underwent a transformation. Education systems were revolutionized to prepare the next generation for life as a spacefaring civilization. The economy shifted as new industries sprung up around alien technologies and interstellar trade. The first human Zephyrian hybrid spacecraft, christened Cosmic Hope, prepared for its maiden voyage. Its mission: to establish Earth's first extrasolar colony, a symbol of humanity's new place in the universe. Yet, not all was smooth sailing. Some humans struggled to adapt to the rapid changes. The anti-alien movement, though diminished, had gone underground, nursing its resentments. And there were still powers in the galaxy that looked upon Earth's rise with suspicion or outright hostility. But for every challenge, humanity seemed to find new reserves of strength and innovation. The spirit that had first welcomed the desperate Zephyrians now drove Earth to reach for the stars with open hands and open hearts. As the Cosmic Hope prepared to launch, carrying a crew of humans, Zephyrians, and even a Krell cultural attaché, President Ruse addressed the world one last time before stepping down from office. "My fellow citizens of Earth, and our friends among the stars, we stand at the dawn of a new age. We have faced the universe and found not only wonders but a reflection of our own potential. The road ahead will not be easy, but I have faith that the same spirit that brought us here, our curiosity, our compassion, and our unwavering hope, will guide us true. Today, we take our place among the stars not as conquerors, but as explorers and peacekeepers. We carry with us the best of what it means to be human, and we open our arms to all we may encounter. For in this vast cosmos, we are all, in our own ways, sailing on a cosmic hope." As the ship lifted off, streaking into the night sky, humanity looked up not with fear of the unknown, but with anticipation of the adventures to come. Earth had made its cosmic debut, and the universe would never be the same. In the vastness of space, on worlds beyond counting, myriad beings turned their gaze towards the small blue planet that had so suddenly burst onto the galactic scene. Some with hope, some with fear, but all with the knowledge that a new era had begun. Humanity had arrived, and the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter in welcome.